Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages. It's been
Every age.
of every age. It's been
Every age.
quite a while since we've last spoken to you, or was it like a couple weeks ago? I don't know. Time really doesn't exist anymore for me. But anyway, we're so glad you joined us, and we just want to welcome you back to the Low High Podcast. I am Sele.
And I am Marcello.
And joining us today is a very special guest. My housemate, who agreed to do this probably just because he lives with me, but whatever. Say hi to the people.
Hi guys.
This is Caesar. Caesar, please tell them a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Caesar. I'm an international student at Marist from Romania. I'm currently 23 years old and I study political science and criminal justice, and I live in the same house with you.
Well, that's good to know. So everybody wants to know, probably, like the 16 people who are still listening to this podcast, why are we here today?
We're here because we live in a society.
We live in a society.
And we just wanted to talk about that. Actually, kind of good timing. I mean, bad timing. Because of the crazy shit that happened in Brooklyn. I don't know if anyone, you guys know about that, right?
About the entry, right?
Yeah.
No, that's crazy as hell, bro. Whenever I'm on the New York subway, I see at least 5 cops. So it's just insane to me that some dude just hopped up on the entry and just started letting it fly, and nobody caught it. Nobody saw this man.
Dude, it's wild. It's really crazy. What's even crazier though is it honestly doesn't it's a huge deal. I work in the city every day, but it's not. It doesn't it hasn't stopped anything. It's not so it's just we live in a society where that's not even
See, I think New York is a special case though, because New Yorkers are just experts at minding their business. Bro,
yeah.
The last time me and Caesar went into New York City, within 5 minutes of being there, we saw a crackhead. We saw someone getting taken on a stretcher into an ambulance, and we saw somebody selling drugs on the street. And this was all in crowded areas, and all the people were just moving around and minding their business.
And very much everybody next to each other, which was pretty crazy, and everything was happening at the exact same time. But I guess that something with society today is just the problem of ignoring the normal, but we generalize everything as too normal right now.
True. There's so much stuff. Okay, this was something I kind of wanted to talk about. You guys know about I feel this might just be a uniquely American thing, but scam calls. The fact that literally at any point during the day, 24/7, somebody can just randomly call you and attempt to scam you out of all your money, and
one's safe from that.
People just think that it's completely normal. That's insane to me. And the thing is, I feel people don't really care about it because it's mostly older people who fall for these scams and stuff like that. But bro, conceptually, it's still insane that we just have to live with it. It's just a part of life now.
I'm actually amazed that people fall for even if you're older, why are you still falling for that? It just doesn't make sense to me. If you don't own a car, your car insurance cannot possibly be a problem.
Oh no, the car insurance on the car that I do not have, gotta call my bank immediately.
I guess these people that have been calling me in the past 3 years about my car insurance could not wait for me to get the car.
Yeah.
They're just they're doing a preemptive strike. They just want you to be ready for the responsibility of having a car.
Yeah, exactly. So they're actually doing you a favor.
Of course. Nah.
Yeah, scam calls are mad annoying and super normal. What else is really normal?
But super annoying that it shouldn't be normal.
Crackheads everywhere in the city. We have to go back to that one time. I think I saw every time I'm going to the city, I think that I saw already all the types of crackheads in this world. Every time I go, I prove that statement false.
Bro.
I see I see people dancing on the street. I see people eating on the street. I see people fucking on the street. I see people jacking off on the street. But I think the craziest part is that you would see them doing the weirdest, like, I don't know, kissing a tree, or like petting the grass, or like talking to, I don't know, the petals.
Yeah. If you want to see a crackhead in New York, like 100, if you want like a 100% approved crackhead sighting destination, you should go to Penn Station. Every time I go to Penn Station, I see at least one crackhead, and they're always doing something truly incredible. The last time I was in Penn Station, I was coming back from a trip back home to come back to school, and there was this, and I was trying to go to the bathroom, right? And like, I'm on my way into the bathroom, and I see some dude. He walks out of there. He goes right to security. He's like, "Hey, yo, you better go stop that dude in the bathroom." And I'm like, "Hey, yo, what do you mean?" So I walk into the bathroom, and I see this dude, clearly incredibly high. He's like in the fetal position on the ground in front of a urinal, and he's like speaking in tongues, and he's like, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, "Man, I'm just really trying to pee." And I see like 4 dudes like literally walk in succession, like 3 inches away from this guy, just like pee and then walk away like that, like he wasn't just absolutely freaking out beside them.
And yeah, it's crazy that we see these things as normal, because I think that they shouldn't be normal. Like, just seeing a person that is intoxicated in the bathroom, almost dying, talking tongues to you. I don't think that should be normal, but we normalize that. And the thing is, when will we stop normalizing this diseases and problems?
See, I don't know. I feel like society collectively, we've already passed the point where we should have stopped. So now we're just gonna keep going and see how long we can go. Because like we have to think about, like, even like with hospitals, right? Like in America, like, bro, healthcare here is insane. Like, you know what an itemized bill is?
Yes.
Yeah. Bro. So like, for people who don't know what an itemized bill is, basically when you go to a hospital and you receive medical care, normally they just give you one overarching charge for everything you did at the hospital, which usually turns out to be insanely large. If you were to ask for an itemized bill, you would be able to see each individual thing that they're charging for. And most of the time, half of the things on those bills are just like insane, because sometimes they'll charge you like $50 for like a scalpel used during a surgery. And you're like, okay, like, can I take the scalpel home, bro? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah. It's mad when people like seriously say like, do not call an ambulance, like just drive me there.
Bro, like I've known I've known too many people who are like, nah man, don't call an ambulance, just let me hop in an Uber.
Yeah.
Bro, Uber is another thing that's kind of crazy, because I feel like initially Uber was a good idea, right? Because it was like, because taxis were costing too much, but now Uber is costing more than taxis. And now they have like a surcharge for gas, because like gas prices are going crazy right now. And like, I kind of understand, but at the same time, am I really trying to be paying for this here?
I guess that the most important part with this society is that we started losing meaning. Like, for example, Uber was a ride-sharing application. However, it started losing its meaning until it lost it completely. Like, how can a ride that I'm sharing it with somebody be more expensive than a ride that I simply paid for privately? And I guess that the problem with this, we live in a society, is meaning. It's finding meaning.
See, what do you mean when you say we've lost our meaning? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, it's not that we lost our meaning in terms of the meaning of constant things, such as like water freezes at 0 degrees. We didn't lose the meaning of that, but I think we lost the meaning in the sense of the intrinsic value of some actions or some things. For example, I don't know if you guys remember when you would be young and your mom would give you a chocolate for Easter or for Christmas, because that's the only time she would give you sugar, and you would have a blast.
Yeah.
Now I eat a chocolate like a motherfucker, and I don't find it that good.
Like, it's not amazing.
It's not amazing, and that's the meaning that society actually makes us lose. Is the meaning, is the fact that it makes us I guess the way it is designed with this consumerism view, it just makes us enjoy the same thing and repeat it again and again and again and again until we lose its meaning, and until we're addicted and dragged into it, and it gets into a vicious cycle in which we have to do it. For example, drugs, or for example, just eating junk food. So that's what I mean.
No, I understand. You're saying that stuff has like, because humans, like, collectively, stuff has become a little bit too comfortable for like the larger amount of people, and we can indulge ourselves. Stuff has started like losing its meaning. Yeah, no, I kind of understand that.
But that's also like self-control, right?
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, it's hard because it's always being pushed down like our throats and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's tough because we have so much of everything of it. Like, dude,
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys know grocery stores here. That's OD as fuck.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you do not need all that shit at all.
Like, bro, you got stuff for washing your vegetables, stuff for washing your vegetables after you wash your vegetables. Like, half of the things I see in the grocery, in like most like chain stores or supermarkets, I don't even know what they're for.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen like the as seen on TV section in one of these like shitty places like Rite Aid or like a Walgreens or something? And it's stuff that like there's no idea, like there's no reason for it to exist, but it's just there. Like, I remember seeing a pair of sunglasses that had like these two little flashlights attached to them so you could see in the dark. And I'm like, but why couldn't you just buy a flashlight?
Right. Well, it is this thing good that you mentioned reason, or for reason, is this thing that hermeneutics influences reason a lot, and hermeneutics has a lot to do with meaning and what the word means. For example, we have this political scientist, this legal scientist, I would rather say, Sebak. I hope I pronounce it correctly. Sibuk Sib Sebak, something like that. And he says that in law per se, a principle should be synthesized before applied to its case, and that principle is synthesized through the meaning of our language, because and he says this is why we then have to interpret it, because language would be insufficient to encapsulate the whole meaning and the whole scope of the principle. And this is what happens with reason. How would you want to reason when you lost meaning, and when the hermeneutics are evolving so fast today? You lose meaning of the word refraining. Therefore, you cannot reason anymore. You know.
That's pretty deep. I can't lie.
Indeed. But like the whole thing about reason, like do you mean like reason in terms of like reason to live, or like, you know, reason to like
reason per reasoning?
Oh, like you mean
general.
like reason? Oh, like just like common like sense reasoning kind of stuff.
Exactly.
See, I feel like everybody wants everything to be up to interpretation nowadays, which I think is part of the problem. Because like, especially I'm on Twitter a lot, and like a lot of Twitter is somebody just making a well-articulated statement, and then somebody else just completely misinterpreted it and saying like, oh, you mean this. And I feel like I've said this before, but like in terms of opinions, I feel like because we can indulge ourselves so much, people have come to think that their opinions matter way more than they do. And I'm not saying that people's opinions don't matter, right? But I'm just saying that, like, bro, if somebody says something and like it wasn't directed towards you at all, and it makes you feel a certain type of way, and then you proceed to make it about yourself, like you kind of like shot yourself in the foot. Like you kind of just like started the whole situation. And I feel like we're seeing like more and more of that. And I don't think it's like an entitlement thing. I feel like a lot of people say a lot of bullshit. And like we've seen this kind of like recent trend over the past few years of a lot of people getting called out. And I don't know, people see that as sort of like progress for society. So I feel like people keep trying to like call people out over and over and over in like a misguided attempt to like say that they're making the world a better place. But like you're kind of just being petty. So like you really can't tell like when the line between like you just trying to like, you know, expose somebody for no reason, and you trying to trying to just like improve society by taking out like a bad element or whatever.
That's a tough one, I feel like, because like I don't know. I'm kind of for like I mean, it can be really annoying. I know everyone takes a lot of things super literally, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It's tough. I teeter-totter on it because some things I'm like, yeah, converse about that. That's good. But other times I'm like, man, it's like we really don't need to talk about like why the new Pringles can is like racist. There's like actual racism happening or
Wait, what?
stuff like that. Dude, people like anything they'll angle it in some way, and it's always interesting to hear everyone's opinion. But at the same time, it's like we can't do that like and move forward and function.
Well, when we were talking also about refrain. When we're talking about refrain in this kind of situation, you cannot really like achieve this empathy that you guys are presupposing in your arguments. Like we lost reason. By losing reason, we lost ourselves, because reason is what, for example, in Descartes granted our own existence and shaped our rationality over it. So I'm referring to, I think, before am, but
I think therefore I am, yes.
And the fact that we're losing this self-refrain actually goes into this this cycle that you guys were pointing at.
So do you think it's like a part of societal development, or like is it just like was it like a mistake in human development? Like at what point did we like lose the plot?
What point did we lose the plot? I guess we lost the plot in the moment we started growing ourselves into our own eyes without actually taking the real image of others. I think that's when we went wrong.
Oh, so people started focusing on like our own personal good instead of collective good. No, okay, so it's interesting that you bring that up, because in the early 2000s, a lot of a lot of psychologists, there's like this big movement towards like, self-understanding, and that it would make, like if the more you understood yourself, like the better you would feel. And the whole thing is that this was like this really big movement for a little bit, but it didn't really work. People were feeling overall like a little bit more and more miserable. And an experiment was conducted a couple of years ago in different people, using different people from multiple countries. There was America, Europe, outside England, Japan, Ireland, some other things. And basically the experiment was each person was told to go and do something that made them happy. And like the larger percentage of people expressed happiness by going to help others. But the people who decided to be happy by doing things for themselves ended up less happy overall. So I feel like this phenomenon is like kind of explainable, but like how are you supposed to convince people that like doing stuff for others is like the best thing for yourself also?
I feel like, but that's tough because that's just like how I think normally. Like I do believe that like you put out, like I really just believe in karma hugely, and I think it's like if you put out good or you put out bad, like it's gonna come back to you. And I think that's also just because like technically everything in this world is a domino effect, so I think that has a lot to do with it. But like, yeah, because like people forget that we actually live in a community and that we have impact on other people's lives and other people have impact on our lives. So like the more good you put into it, the more good that's gonna be like circulating through it, and then the higher your chance of getting good out of it will be.
That would be ideally. However, like I don't really think that what is good for society is good for you. What is good for you is good for society, because at that point, in order to convince somebody that what's good for society is good for him, it needs to be a consensus, and that doesn't really exist in all times. It needs to be in like multilateral ambivalent consensus, but it impacts too much that we either isolate, either destroy ourselves, and yeah, it's really hard to tell somebody that what's good for society is good for them, and it might be false sometimes.
True. like I feel like collective agreement has always been a very difficult thing for humans to do. That's why I feel like a lot of politics is like generalization towards like certain topics that people like in general feel strongly about, but people don't take stances that are too strong. It's just like, oh yeah, I agree with this or I disagree with this, but they don't really elaborate on that. And that's kind of how they sway people. Because I remember I was watching like a Cat Williams show, and he was talking about how the government, how he understands politics, because the government are all just pimps. That basically what they do is like they treat society how pimps treat like the girls who work for them. They just tell them something. They tell them to go do something, and it will make everything better, but they give them no explanation. And like he brought up like during like the Iraq War, if anybody in the United States knew what like an Iraqi uniform looked like nah, bro. Like they were just showing like dudes in t-shirts and like Chelsea uniforms getting gunned down by soldiers, and like everybody was kind of just like, okay, yeah, because they could just like kind of label things how they wanted, because they didn't say Iraqis, they said like insurgents. Today we killed 12 insurgents. And like when people, and they can use like labels and stuff like that to kind of generalize the entire population of that place. So people are like, okay, yeah, insurgents, those are bad. So it just kind of becomes an out of sight, out of mind thing.
Well, yeah, but imagine what if they would have done something else and say Iraqis, like you would have put the whole country under the scope of that label, and you would have then be facing a large amount of racism and a large amount of prejudice for a simple like, let's say, sticker or label.
Okay, but the thing is that like a lot of people, even without like the labels, do experience like a lot of prejudice like anyway. Like post 9/11 America, like everybody of like Arabic descent had to like switch up how they were living because people were suddenly so much more afraid and like angry at them, you know? And I feel like the use of labels to like avoid like the fallout of something that's going to inevitably happen doesn't really make sense.
What do you mean, like something that's going to inevitably happen?
Like I feel like in a lot of situations, they're like big situations, like let's say like a war, for example. Usually, racial tension almost always follows. Like remember, in the Second World War, after Japan attacked America, America rounded up every vaguely Asian person and put them in internment camps. And the thing is, like they would call, and that is a situation where they're like, oh yeah, the Japanese. But even though it was specifically the Japanese, non-Japanese people were still affected by it, even though they like lived in the entire United States their whole lives and weren't even from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
That is true, and the fact that one causes another is again completely true. I just remembered of something that my grandpa used to say all the time, is that the tone sets the mood, which basically means that if you're when you're aggressive, you're gonna be responding with aggressiveness. When you're prejudicious, you're gonna be responding with prejudice, and that's what happened in all those instances, right?
Wait, so you're saying that like society is like inherently prejudiced?
No, it's just saying. I'm just saying that society mirrors each other's actions to some degree, and it's rather that than, let's say, original intent, and that still has to do with the fact that we strive to find meaning.
Dang. I don't even remember who said it. He was like, every man lives a life of quiet desperation. And like, I don't know. Do you guys think that people are like desperate to find meaning for their lives?
I can't tell, because I feel like it's either you're super driven to find it or you've just given up. And like, I think there's like one of the two.
I think that people of success must.
And I think that people that are driven must strive for that constant meaning, that, and you might even never discover it. It's like the idea of truth, or the idea of purification, of like cleansing. You might never get it, but just dying with the idea that you want to get it should actually be enough for you to like make a positive change in this society.
Oh no, I understand. Like I feel, but the things like I feel like a lot of people are waiting for that moment. I feel like I definitely feel like movies have ruined it for like a lot of us because we all grow up on watching stuff on TV, or like some people they read books growing up. Maybe they're the people who will be successful in life. Who knows? But I feel like a lot of stereotypes have like made people think that okay, there's just gonna be this moment where I figure out like what I'm gonna do, like who I'm gonna be, like there's just gonna be like this dramatic transformation. And I feel like it doesn't really work like that. People think of life as a movie more than like a TV show, which is like life is kind of like a CW show. It starts out kind of good, and then it lasts way too long, costs way too much money, and gets old. But like shout out to CW though. Like they're probably money laundering because there's no reason your show should have that many seasons, but still, like big respect.
Big respect. If you can make it happen.
Nah, but like I really don't think that like. All right, so do you think that this version of society that we live in, do you think it can be improved upon, or this is as good as it gets?
Yeah, I think if everyone stopped being a huge dick, it would be a lot better.
Remember, we had the Low High podcast always say, don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
But
I feel like it's definitely going to get better, though. Like, serious answer. What do you guys think?
I hope it's going to get better. I mean, if we start with the idea that it's not going to get better, we should just, I don't know, stay in our house and get drunk every day because then we have no more drive and no more, I guess, no more reason to live. It's just like, it's going to be the same. Okay, let's die.
True. Like, I feel like just because, like, I feel like there is enough meaning in, like, life and just, like, by just being alive. But the problem is that there's so much stuff that we just have to deal with that we're kind of forced to, like, find meaning in our lives. Because I feel like it's just, like, part of the human condition. And when you have, like, society, which is, like, a large organism made up of all these people trying to find meanings in their lives, or trying to deal with everything that, life brings it with you, I feel like it obviously makes a disconnect. Like, there's this word called sonder. I don't know if we've mentioned it before, but sonder is basically the realization of, like, when somebody's in a large public place and they realize that everybody around them is leading lives equally as complicated as they are. And, like, a lot of people, like, don't respond to that emotion with, like, like, some people really, like, that really changes their perspective on stuff. And I feel like that's kind of crazy to think about, but this is something that just kind of happening. That people are just kind of waking up and realizing that, oh my God, people are people. And I don't know if that's like a symptom of society or if stuff has like always been that way.
So it's actually really interesting when you look at, well, like real quick. So like, it's interesting you said that, right? Like the whole idea of like, is there actual meaning in life or not? Because there's like two ways to look at it, I think, right? Like one, it could have just been an accident, right? Like, because that's just how things happen. It's literally the domino effect. Like all these interactions lead to interactions and it leads to events, and then somehow somebody's there. And, like a child's being born. And then the other part that's really crazy is that, like, dude, it is almost like it is a statistical miracle for anybody to actually be born. Because one, for like sperm and eggs to actually like come together and be chill with that's almost impossible. And then for like the baby to make it out alive and like live past its like months, which has gotten a lot easier now, but like that's also insane. So it's almost like there has to be some kind of reason for it. So it's either a super like existential joke, or it's like we're all actually here for a reason. And I think you can decide.
See,
you get to pick which one you choose.
See, he brought up like babies being born or like humans like existing for this long. And low key, if you like look back at history, that's a really good point. Because like humankind collectively, the fact that we've made it this long is a little bit amazing.
Surprising.
Because like, bro, like most of the like incredible like life-saving stuff we have came like in the past like couple decades, like maybe the past century or so. Bro, before that, people were really just raw dogging existence, bro. No Wi-Fi, no Google, no microwaves. Like if you wanted to eat, you had to get out there and like kill something to eat it, or you had to farm for it.
Why not?
Yeah, life was simpler.
Also, there's the hypothesis of the non, like for example, let's say we were just created here and we would just be around. Like, why wouldn't we be for the better for the time being here? If it was like a super joke, like let's say we can just be here and strive for the better, and maybe just make ourselves a purpose out of it and give it ourselves meaning, and we've been pretty good at that. Also, like we have to deal with it, I guess. We've been also pretty good at accepting that in the past. Right now, I cannot deal with the cold, but in the past, I might have, if I existed like maybe 2,000 years ago, maybe I would have been better. But it's a thing that an Orthodox monk, Arsenia Bokal, sometimes said, is that all bad towards the good. So it might have just been like a learning experience for us, and we gave it meaning.
Oh man, maybe because human society, we have continuously grown, we've evolved. Like, we have made life better, we've made life more comfortable, we've made life more tolerable. But the thing is, it's not tolerable for everyone. And the thing is that life has never always been tolerable about it for everyone. So the thing is that, should we strive to just make things good for everyone, or let's like keep going the same way where we make it better for a couple of people?
Wait, there's a philosophy, there's that idea, I'm forgetting what it's called. It's like the idea that like you should do what is best. You should do what's best for like the most amount of people.
Utilitarianism.
Yeah, utilitarianism. There's this idea, it's not called like anti-utilitarianism, or like it's the opposite of that though, and it's the idea that like we should do what's the least shitty for the most amount of people. So like that idea, like that whole philosophy came from like, okay, well, if like a majority of people will benefit from this, but it causes like great suffering, to other people, like other people shouldn't have to suffer just to make those people happier. It's like everyone should just be like kind of prioritized, and like we should make decisions that are best for everybody, even though they're not great for like it's like we should just try to minimize the damage or the sacrifice that has to be done.
And again, it matters like what kind of presuppositions you assume when you begin that whole judgment, because you can either assume that we are inherently good, and then we must do all the good for everybody, or you have to assume that everybody is inherently null, which basically means just do the least painful for the most amount of people, which basically defines you as what you want to do, as like you want to do something that impacts the others least, or you want to do something that impacts you the most, because that's a like different concept that you have to start with.
Absolutely.
No, I think you're right, because like everybody individually, we do weigh out the things that benefit us probably first. I'm not gonna say everybody like puts themselves first. There's some people who definitely like put others first. But like I just feel like maybe in generalization, people who are just like living day to day and stuff, they gotta think about what's benefiting them first.
Oh, definitely.
But the thing is, like, the disconnect with stuff like this is the people who are making the big decisions in people's lives in general, they're not like living day to day.
That's true. Like that really like doesn't make sense to me, like how small groups of people can possibly make decisions for everybody, because like if you're in that position, you can't possibly be living in like the real world. You're just living like running late to a meeting, to another meeting, to another meeting, to like lunch, to another meeting, to another. Like that's how it is. Like that's not that's not reality.
Like, I feel like there shouldn't be a disconnect between people and no person who just like wakes up every day and decides how all their lives are gonna be.
I don't know. I actually got a quick question. It's a bit of a topic changer, but I'm like curious. So you're both not from America,
Yeah.
Like, no offense, just kidding. Obviously, there's no offense there. So like coming to America, I think you both came like around college, maybe a little bit before. What was like the biggest culture shock you experienced? Can I ask that? Is that
No, that's good.
Sure.
Caesar, you can go first.
I will say for me the biggest culture shock was simply like the hookup culture and the purpose for that. Like I was perplexed. Like you just go in the bar and you hook up with like 6-7 people, and you end up not doing anything with anybody, or if you do, it's just like yeah, okay. But like most of the times, people don't do anything with anybody. And I just find it so like grotesque and carnal that you just wanna like make out, which is like also like very dirty to me if you stay and think about it. Like oh,
Like I've never really been down with like conceptually just like making out with strangers. Like I've always felt that was some really weird shit. Because like bro, you really don't know where this person's mouth has been.
yeah.
I remember there was a semester I got mono twice from the dining hall.
Oh,
Yeah. Like it really be nasty out here, bro.
no, but it's strange, right? Because like think about it. Would you just walk down the street and just like, you know, like 1 out of 10 you have to kiss? Like you're not gonna do that.
Definitely
It's
not.
fucking weird. It's super strange.
Is
You know what's even weirder is you share that intimate moment and then you never talk to them or see them. Maybe you don't know their name.
yeah. And I don't know, does it feel good when you're drunk? Like is it like a you know, a special thing when you're drunk? I don't really think so. I think I don't know, it's
No.
just the euphoria of it.
I guess.
I think we can all agree like one of the like things that feel great when you're drunk is like pizza
Absolutely.
and cigarettes. Like
Bro, those essentials, bro. But I don't know. When I'm drunk, I don't really like. I'm not in the mood to do stuff. I'm just like doing what I'm doing in the moment, and I'm drunk while I'm doing that. That like enhances the experience. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard the whole idea of like adult activities or just kids activities with alcohol.
oh yeah, I'm for that.
I don't want to hear that.
You're not ready for the crushing realization.
Yeah. I found out the other day that Fred Flintstone was a series for adults, and I was pretty shocked.
What?
Yeah,
The Flintstones?
Flintstones, yeah. And I saw parts of some episodes that they put like in a collage, and it was something else.
Oh man.
Fred talking about third heads and stuff like that.
Yo.
Yeah.
Nah, like all the like old cartoons were definitely like way too adult for us to be watching them. Cause I remember there was so much stuff like, okay, we were watching the old X-Men show from the 90s. And like that was back before the technology we had now where everything was fancy, even though it still takes a billion years. So everything was like a hand-drawn animation. And we would talk about the way that they'd like draw like female characters in the show. And it's like, okay, so respectfully, why are you making them so thick?
Dude, yeah, and what's up with like the dudes?
Like, bro, everybody in those shows was just absolutely like caked up. I feel like it was just to sell the action figures. That's why they drew them so good. But like, man, it was crazy as hell how they would be how like they'd be looking at some of these shows. I remember like the Ren and Stimpy show. That was just very strange. Like I vaguely remember watching the show, but whenever I see like a clip of it, I'm like, nah, my parents couldn't have let me watch this.
But yeah, what was something that complex to you here?
Damn, that's like a lot of stuff was kind of a shock for me. I feel like party culture here was kind of like weird for me.
Bad, right? Bad. You used to party till 6 a.m., right?
Yeah, and like people would be like, bro, it's like, oh, it's 2 a.m. Let's like go. And like there's never any like snacks at the parties. It's literally just all Bud Light all the time. And I'm like, bro, why?
Wait, so that was like not good. You're saying that's not
good. Like, bro, like I don't have a problem. Okay, like personally, I have less of a problem with Bud Light now than I did before. But bro, I used to see Bud Light at every party I went to for like 3 years straight. And I just like, bro, I don't want to drink this. It's bad. But then
the no
snacks
one gets me. I'm sorry. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, no.
I wish there were snacks at parties.
Yeah, bro. I feel like eating while you drink is an important thing.
Is the thing.
Like, I feel like Americans have like lost out on that, and I don't understand why. Like, it should be like a simple concept.
Like, you grill while you drink, and then you drink while you eat, and then you drink again because you just ate, and it's 5 a.m. and you're saying stories that I don't know are really weird, and
you're
really
growing, and you're bonding, and you're learning from one another. See, I never really like left my house when I was in high school though. Like, I went to a couple of parties, but the thing is that, like, bro, I feel like the standards for like parties in Nigeria in general are just like really high, because there's always like a live DJ, and there's like always hella food and drinks and stuff, and like you come open bar, and like you come here, and it's just some dude's apartment in Foxroom with like a handful of drinks on the table.
Oh my god, that was such a shock! I swear,
bro. Like, I remember, dude, like Fox Run parties were always like, they were always a massive hit or a massive miss.
Most of massive miss.
Most of them were a massive miss, bro. But like, it's crazy that the cops. Okay, we should tell. I'm gonna tell this story, but I'm not gonna name any of the people involved. But like, due to some incident at a party we threw last year, the police arrived at our house, and we were told that there was a zero tolerance policy for Marist students because of all the parties that had happened in Foxborough the semester before. And I'm like, bro, like, I don't even live there. What does that got to do with me? And that's the whole thing. Like, people are here throwing like a ton of lame parties, and other people are being punished for it. But that's the thing. What? Like, everybody losing is another part of American culture that I don't fuck with.
Yeah, we don't all win, but we all lose.
Literally. But I don't know, man. I feel like in general, society is like, it's just like us, bro. It's highs and lows. Like, depending, like, a lot of it's like a crapshoot. I was like I understand that I'm just like incredibly lucky to have been born to like a family who can like do stuff like send you to college or like buy you stuff. Because like there's other people, like when you, like, especially in college, you get to meet a lot of people and you like learn about their lives, and you really learn how different everybody is and like how different their lives they're living. Like, I don't know. Maybe Marist is kind of like a bad example because a lot of people here are just like copy paste, but like still, I feel like, when you start to talk to other people, I feel like that's kind of when you get a better understanding of society in general. But
yeah, absolutely.
Those are just my thoughts. And, I think we've spent a good amount of time with you guys, and I'd like to once again thank you for joining us, Caesar.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Now, thank you, special guest, Caesar. Everyone, if you can clap, even though we can't hear it, we'd appreciate it.
And
for it.
We would just like to remind you that if you're feeling high or if you're feeling low, you've always got a place to go. Thank you for joining us.